Yes. So step number one, whatever you do, you want to record stuff, press record. So wherever you go, there you are. There is, wonderful brilliance in simple sayings. What happened was in about a year ago, last spring, I started kind of about halfway through the semester, I started recording my class lecture and the screenshots. So I'm using a recording program, and I didn't use a microphone then, so audio was kind of sketchy. But still, if a student wanted to go back and review, they could. You should have been in class, whatever, right? But I was like, I really want to try this. And so I would upload it to YouTube. And that way they could go and do that. And then last semester, I did it with all of my classes. I had just done it with my mini-mester that first time, a year ago. And so last semester, I did it with all of my classes. I would record. I'd get the audio, and you'd get what's on the screen. I got the cool microphone, so we'll talk about these. This one's got the plug-in over there, and I have another one. But they're all cheap, so I'm a cheap date. That's always been my goal. Yeah. Well, I'm going to get to that. I just wanted to give those of you who weren't there some background, okay? And it's also on the handout, too, so that way, you can walk away with this. So what happened was I did that, and last semester, I don't always have a lot of hits, and which I deleted all of last semester's stuff because I tell them after the semester's over, it's gone. And so I upload it to YouTube. And I don't always have a lot of hits, but last semester I had 2 or 3 students who said, thank you for doing that. I'm really glad you do that. I could go back and review. I had a couple of really good students, who had some things happen and they ended up missing 2-3 days. That's substantial in a row. They said, but they were able to keep up. They said, that made all the difference. That made all the difference. And for me, if it helps one student, it's a world of difference. That's how I feel. And even if it doesn't, I kind of feel like, look, you can't complain to me when, yeah, maybe you couldn't be there, but I put it on YouTube. Or you didn't understand this thing reading the book, but I put up a video that showed you how to do it and walked through. And what I find is kind of the more I do that's kind of preemptive, the better off I am because, one, I'm not giving them a place to complain. Right? And some of these things you can do once and use over and over, and that's the nice thing. So that's when I started doing this, was really doing it in class, and I had done some videos and put them on YouTube for use with my classes, things like that. I think I've gotten a little better. So what I do is, what I've gotten more invested in is really flipping the classroom, and these first couple of slides are verbatim from last semester, but I just think it's really worth revisiting. And that flipped classroom is that model of saying, okay, usually we have students read and do this and that, and we come in, we lecture, and we send them home. We say, you go do the work. I'm not totally getting rid of homework. I just can't do that. I'm not totally getting rid of lecture. I'm a talker. That's the way it is. But I'm really working to flip that classroom so they're doing, maybe I'm giving them the lecture outside through YouTube or something like that, and then we come on and we do hands-on. I teach writing. It's a skills class. They can memorize stuff all day long, but if they can't write it down and apply those things, we haven't learned anything. So I'm really trying to kind of go back to the idea of do this hands-on stuff in class more. And this is one of the things that's getting me there. And what that flipping the classroom does is it beneficial in a number of ways. You can be hands-on with it. Some of the things is for students who are second language learners, and I've had a couple of them say it was nice to go back and re-listen because sometimes I get going fast. Sometimes it's that last 10 minutes and I'm trying to get everything in. I've done that. And so I have students who are like, I can't understand your words, and I get it. Spanish, I've got to say, slow down, man. So it does a number of things for students, let them kind of access different ways of learning and things like that. And what I really started doing was I started by using, I just want to show you this one real quick, and we'll see if it'll come up because, see if I even have it. Yeah, I have Electa here. I started by using Electa, and that's all it gives you. I'm actually not going to record using it since I'm already recording using the other one. I knew there were 1,000 tabs I didn't open that I wanted to show you. So one of the things, and that's suggested there where it talks about tools, is you can use Electa, and it's at screenrecordings.com. And what I've done in the handout is under tools, I've just put tiny URLs there so you don't have to type in as many words for some of these things. And it is a free screen recorder, and it will record your audio. And it was actually intended for teachers, that kind of thing. So you can download that and use that. And it is straightforward. I mean, as you saw there, the Electa interface is this big. Let me move it up here so you can actually see it. You can do net new, and you can do some settings, but it's very minimal. And you press, once you go through that first time and set it up, you press start, boom, it records it, you upload it. The problem I had with the Electa is that it was really like whenever you'd look at it on YouTube, the words, things like that, were really blurry. So it's the easiest thing to use, and there's like no learning curve there. If you can use Word, you can figure it out, right? So it's nice in that way. But I went to OBS, and OBS, which is the OBS project, my son recommended to me. He's a gamer, as many sons of this day and age are. It has a bigger interface. But really, its basics are pretty much the same. In settings, and I'd click there, but we're recording, and I don't know, because I'm going to upload this in just a minute. You'll be able to go back and see this workshop on YouTube, right? But you click on settings, and it's real straightforward. There's a couple of settings, and I've got a link on that page that has on the handout that has some advice, to a page that has some good advice on that. But you tell it where do you want it to save the files. Do you want to save it? YouTube likes MP4s, so I tell it to save them as MP4s. Just some things like that. Audio, do you want to come through the microphone, what? So really, it's pretty easy. The nice thing is you can also set it up where what I did whenever I opened this, I said press record, and then I closed it, pressed F9. You can set it up where you press one button and go. And one of the things that you'll notice sometimes with YouTube videos is you'll find, I thought I didn't want to look at my schedule, but maybe I do, because I put one in here. You'll notice that you'll see their program they're recording with, and then it goes into the video. And your option is to cut that out. And I'm just like, the less work I have to do, the easier things are. Oh, no, we don't want to listen to that one yet. I will show you the one I did. I did 2 this morning, and I'll show you one of them. Sentence Basics video. Let's check this one out. Control. Okay, so notice here, whenever she gets started with it, this doesn't have it, but a lot of times what you get is you'll get this kind of interface from the recorder itself. And so it doesn't have it here, but it still has kind of a lot of intrusion. And where we got the kind of click-throughs on her slideshow, and she's using, it comes up here, eMaze. I've never tried it. But what she has on this slideshow is a lot of the interface there. And one of the nice things about OBS and Electa too is you can tell it, do you want it to record the whole screen? Or do you want to be able to kind of click on things outside of there and change from tab to tab or different things, and just record this stuff in the middle, and when you change, you've got to make sure you've set up Word to be the right size in that space, right, or whatever it is you're using. So that's kind of one of the nice things, is that you can choose that, and I don't mind, one of the reasons I didn't do this for a long time, because I was really worried about this. Here we go. See, here's one I did. Where was I at? Let's do File and New. When you open up Word, you'll generally have this screen, and I'm going to choose a blank document. And so there are a couple of things I want to set up. God, I hate to listen to myself, right? I mean, I'm just like, and you notice every speech tick you have, every time you get lost, you'll notice it. And you can record and re-record if you want to, and I have been in that place where I've done that. And those closed captions were just the ones that YouTube puts in. If you speak fairly clearly, then it'll pick them up and get them like 99% right. But also when you edit, and I'll show you where you edit, you can go in and watch that and run the closed captions and fix anything, because there's always kind of weird things. So I think what I need to get to is, how do you do this, correct? Yeah. Well, it's really pretty easy. What you do is you press record. And then you've got to decide what you want to do. When I did this, this is format your cover letter. So in my English 1301 class, with 3 of their essays, they have to turn in a cover letter. I figure it's pretty good to know how to write a proper business letter. And they walk out knowing that. But one of the things I couldn't find, I kept going through YouTube, and I could find how to format a cover letter, but everybody had a semi-block, and I wanted a full block, right? We all have, I want it my way, right? And nobody was showing that. And so I went through. All you've got to do is, once you decide, and all I can tell you about these technologies of whether you use OBS or Electa, or you find a recorder you like, you want a screen recorder that does audio, all I can tell you is play with them. That is how I learned to do this. I said, I want to do this, and I asked the internet, how do I do it? And I played with it. And so all I can really tell you about it, the only way I'm an expert in it is the way we are all experts in what we are experts in. What do? We did it over and over and over again. And so that's really all I can tell you about the technology there. It really is, like with this one, what I did was, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to run it. I'm going to turn down the volume, okay? Turn off the volume, right? But what I knew, like I knew I wanted to, teach them how to do this formatting for this letter. So I did think through, and there have been times when I've done like a PowerPoint and I'll, run it through. Then what I can do is I can start the recording and then do the PowerPoint and do the volume at the same time, the audio at the same time. And so I'll run through and practice it 2 or 3 times. There are times I make mistakes and I'll be obsessive. I'll record 6 or 7 times. I just have learned to let go of that. It's YouTube. How much stuff is perfect on YouTube? Really, the vast majority is worse than mine. That's what I comfort myself with, I like to think. So what I knew is this is what I'm doing. So I was able to think, one, I went through this, I started this, I was like, oh yeah, I don't even need to practice this. And then I got about 2 minutes into it. I did do this when I started over again. I got about 2 minutes into it, and I went, oh wait, is there a space between the date and the address? I can't remember. So I stopped it, and I went back, I reread my instructions, I looked the things up, and then I went back, I opened Word, and I step by step went through it. That's it. Right? So I'm teaching them how to do this. And of course, it's way too long. The reading I've been doing on the flipped classroom says, especially if you're going to use videos for those assignments, this one's 12. That's not way too long. I did a syllabus walkthrough this morning because I'm going to try, I don't know, but I am going to try not going over every word of my syllabus on the first day of class. I generally do, and it takes me... This is a walkthrough for our class syllabus. It's important that you understand rules. Boom, right, and the rest of it, I go through the syllabus, and I do that general lecture. So this one is a 50-minute one. I generally, in a 50-minute class, I never get through all the syllabus, so I like to talk, I'm wordy, so it still has cut me down a little bit. I'm going to get better, right? But in this case, I thought, what I really want to do on that first day is I'd really rather say, look, here are some of the things that you're going to read again, but I want to point out to you that are really important. But I want you to go home and just watch this video. And you can turn it on and just listen to it, because if they were sitting in class, they'd be listening to me. So you can sit there and play your game. There is going to be a quiz on it, so you better make sure you know some stuff, okay? But I just went through, I was able to open up my syllabus and go through it and do that discussion. Once you have your video done, so for example, this one is, it's not all. Okay. You just get over it. I figure if these kids can be okay, like being themselves in selfies and YouTubes? I think that sounded like an old lady. Yeah, that's good. I need to be okay with it too. Right? So for example, here is, let's go to fall. Once you create your video, and I just, in a lot of these you can tell it where you want to save it. So I just create a fall 2007 video. With OBS, it'll drop it in your file, and it may have some weird naming structure. Sometimes it gives you the option to name it yourself. I go through and rename it. And here's what I did in the fall. What I would do is just, come on. I would name them just with the date, and they were in like the Monday, Wednesday file. Or, for example, today, that 1301 video, here we go, format your cover letter. So I named it that. The only other thing you have to do after that step is only other thing, and I'll give you 5. The only other thing you have to do is have a YouTube channel, right? Which is really pretty easy. When you go to YouTube, I put some links in there in terms of your YouTube account and getting verified. You get your YouTube channel, you want to make a decision. Do you want it under your personal name or your impersonal name? Your name, or do you want it under something else? My website is kelli.ninja. My YouTube channel is kelli.ninja. My t-shirts for the first week say kelli.ninja. All right, I'm branded all over. So that's what I do. That way I can have my own, my personal YouTube channel when I'm watching at home, and I want to say watch this later, that kind of thing. So this one is all school all the time. Getting verified means, I've forgotten what it means, but it's a pretty easy process. You just have to have them like ping your email or something like that. And until you're verified, you can't post videos over 15 minutes. So there's no kind of wait time or anything like that. It's just follow the process for it. They're just making sure you are who you say you are, and as much as YouTube can do that. Of course, Google knows everything, I believe. And they probably own at least half of my soul. I'm thinking Amazon owns the other half, so I don't know, right? So once you do that and you have your channel, then it's just a matter of following again. I mean, this is as easy as attaching files, doing anything like that. All we're going to do is go to, see, I don't go this way. I have actually bookmarked the YouTube link, the upload link. So with the video manager, if I want to, why isn't it doing that? Oh, dashboard, that might help. There we go. No, it doesn't. I just keep a link right here because when I come, whenever I come back from class, I click on my upload link, which will take you right here, upload to YouTube. And it is as easy as this. I know. Yeah. That's the point. So then it's as easy as this. If I want to upload this file, I can just drag and drop. Now this is going to tell me, might tell me, may not, that it's once it goes through, it may tell me it's the same version. That's it. If I want to publish it right there, I publish it. It's going to be on YouTube. I can go back to my channel. I can click on videos, and it will be there. Those two that are there, my syllabus walkthrough, this format your cover letter, they're there because I did that this morning. So really it's a matter of just kind of finding one of these recorders you like, recording, and then once you have your YouTube channel, it's drag and drop. That's it. There are some things you can set up with this. So I went ahead and set up under my account, my YouTube stuff, like, Kelly, I'm always saying cool beans in class. So I put those as some of my tags, English class 1301. You can give it the, give it the title you want it to have. You can decide whether it's public, unlisted, private, or scheduled. With unlisted, it sounds really great. And I thought I would do that with a class once because I was doing something and I thought, well, that way they know just it's them. One, I haven't encountered anybody who's had an objection with this, my doing this. And I do put a caveat in my syllabus that says, and I'm going to go ahead and stop this, cancel. I do have a caveat in my syllabus that says, I put stuff on YouTube. And when I record, that's not going to find it. But anyway, there's a caveat in there, but that I record things on YouTube. When I record, it catches me, clearly, because I got the cool mic, right? And this one is listed right there under Tools, the microphone. That's this one that plugs into the thing. Otherwise, I did a lot of these just recording with the microphone that was on my laptop. I have another one that's that I got when I started doing it more, that's just plugs in. I got it. You're the student that worries when you drop a paper, right? See, that might or might not show up on YouTube, right? And that's the point. So I got a cooler one. It's just a microphone, right? You can get them pretty cheap. But it doesn't pick up a whole lot of student comments. Like when I go back and re-listen, I have to crank it all the way up, and then I already knew what they said because I was there, and I can be like, oh yeah, that's what they were talking about, right? So that's one of the things that I say, look, it's, it doesn't pick up all the conversation. I do make sure at the end of class students come up and ask questions to hit that. That's why I like OBS, because it has that button, that thing where you can do that setting to start recording, stop recording. So I hit F9, because if somebody's telling me something personal, I missed class, or I got to do this or that, if I don't stop, I go and I cut it off. Right? This is responsibility in being the kind of person, we should be. But I want to make sure that I don't even have to worry about that. So once you record, you upload it to YouTube. Then you can go back to your channel, and you can find your videos. And I do a syllabus that is both, for example, format your cover letter. I can go to this one, and of course it'll give me the URL down over here, and I can copy it. And I do a syllabus that I build it through Word, and then I save it as, I've got extra space over here because I've got comments on where I need to start and make a video or whatever. But I do one where I build it through Word, and then I can go in like this, listen to the walkthrough through with me for the syllabus. Boom, I'll save this as a PDF, and then I put it on my website. You could put it on Blackboard, whatever, and they can click on that stuff. That's one way to give them their homework. You could put a list on that Blackboard and say, in your syllabus, your schedule, watch the video, whatever it's called, walkthrough of the syllabus with me, right, which is on Blackboard. You can do tiny URLs. So say you just decide one morning, you wake up at 5:30 and have your cup of coffee and go for a walk, and you're like, man, you know what that 11 o'clock class really needs? They need a video of me talking about this, and I want to do it right now, and I'll assign it today, and they can watch it before next time. So you do that, right? And you go into class and you haven't written it down anywhere. You can go to, one of the nice things is you can make that YouTube, that clunky YouTube URL that looks like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't copy it, that looks like this, watch V equals, nobody wants to remember that, right? You can say, one, either go to my YouTube channel, you could put a link on Blackboard, or you can do something like making it tiny by going to, I use tiny.cc because I can remember that, so it works for me. And you can see here, check it out. Let's manage. I got a bunch of them. So I'll take, like here's a YouTube video. That's one I did, so I think it is. But KOF, no, we're not going to remember it, right? I can say, or I can write on a paper, www.tiny.cc/wordtrack. I can write on a paper, www.tiny.cc/paraspace, to tell them how to get rid of that space between their paragraphs. And the English teachers here will sympathize with me, right? I mean, I can like remember these myself, but I can also give them these short URLs. So even if I'm doing supplemental and saying, look, a lot of y'all had problems with this, and I was thinking about it this morning, and I made this video, and I think it will help. You can come in and do that, and then you can throw it up on your Blackboard or whatever. So that's, the other thing is to think about, how do I disseminate this information? And so I do the Word document and then save it as a PDF, and so my schedules end up just being PDFs with the links in them. And so when students go through, because we also do a lot of online reading in addition to our book, so when students go through and hit the schedule, they can click on any of these, and it may be, I usually put video if it's a video, so they'll know. So if they're on their phone and they're watching minutes, or they would rather watch it at their computer, whatever. So if it's a video, I'll put video after it. But that way, You insert that hyperlink, whether it's a video, whatever, they can just click on it and access it there. What else do you want to ask about that? This was the moment of Kelly realized she said a lot of words. Do I need to stop it and answer some questions? Or, as I tell my students, can I shut up about that? Yeah, see, you know me. Well, I always feel like score get halfway through the semester when they say, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool, you know me now. I want to show you one last thing. So really kind of the basics of this are, you need to decide on what you want to record with. I started with Electa. It was the simplest thing. I didn't think the quality was as good, but also I have a better computer now. But I did do one with Electa. I bought this at the first of last semester, and I did one with Electa, and I still didn't think it was as good as the OBS. The OBS is very straightforward and simple. Just that link I have in there, that really helped me. There were some things that I looked at, and that's kind of, I'm not enough of a techie for this. And so that web page really walked me through some of those things. But I do like it because it's got that stop-start, that F9. So once you decide whether it's a PowerPoint, you're going to bring that PowerPoint up. You're going to show them how to do something in Word. You want to just go through and do some math, do some equations, do whatever it is. You record that and do that. It needs to be good, yes. It needs to be thoughtful. Don't try to make it perfect. Just remind yourself, it's YouTube. There are cat pictures and goats, baby goats in pajamas, which if you have not seen, your life is not complete, okay? And then once you get your YouTube account and those links I have do verify it more, that uploading it is really just the drag and drop. And if you kind of let go of that moment of having to have that perfection, then it doesn't become as cumbersome. Now, do I have some I've done and then, you know, on some process I need them to do, whether it's uploading to Blackboard or using Grammarly or whatever, that I have redone because I'm like, oh, that one's not good? Yeah, because I did it in the moment. It helped those students, and I'm like, I want to use this all the time, so I'll do a better job. And so once you upload it, and you can decide whether, I always turn comments off. I don't need anybody telling me that I sound like a dorky English teacher. I know that. I'm at one with that, all right? So I turn the comments off, and then you can put it on your syllabus, or you can put it on Blackboard and have them do that as a homework or as a supplement. And the rest of it is, I don't know. I don't know what. I ran out of words. I should have stopped talking about 10 minutes ago. Yes.
Okay, so I have questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having a flipped classroom.
Yeah.
Do you find that the students actually, does it help your actual flipped classroom?
I don't know, because I'm just working more and more toward that. And I'm really trying to do that this semester more by actually really integrating. I do what their homework is and what we'll do, because otherwise I don't even know where I'm going with life. So I have to have a schedule for me too. I think part of it is me scheduling and making that happen. Like I have a number of days here where it's like they're going to watch the video, or you know, they're reading and watching a video, and then we're coming in and like so I wrote down, I had to make myself commit to it. But I know with like the formatting, like MLA and APA formatting, which in English is kind of it can be one of the struggles, teaching, you know, proper format for papers. I know they did better this last semester, and I did videos and I put them on the schedule. I mean, that was and I put quiz questions about them too. I do quizzes on Blackboard, and they're due 10 minutes before they walk into class. I used to teach online, but now I don't. But I do use Blackboard in my classroom. And so their quizzes are on Blackboard, and I tell them they're like their guided notes. They're timed, not enough time to read everything, but enough time to double check. And so even those videos, when I did that, you know, I mean, after the first one where they knew, oh, there's going to be a quiz question from this video, yeah, they did. They did. So that, I think, you know, Terry knows the struggle of, our students in New Mexico tended to read more without the quizzes. I'm not saying they were better. I'm just saying different populations, right? And so there were other things that we came to El Paso and we were like, oh, well, these students are great at this, right? But it did seem like, and I don't know if it's standardized testing or what, because Texas has been one of the hotbeds of that, but it did seem like they really needed that quiz to make them read. So I have found that if I quiz and if I make sure and tell them up front, look, quizzes come from all our readings, which includes things we read and things we watch. And I may have just, 2 or 3 questions, something from the beginning, the middle, and the end. What is it I want to make sure they walk away with? Because it's not about memorize. I tell them, this is about you take that quiz, and you remember that's me pointing to that information saying this is important. And I let them take the quizzes twice. So if they don't get it right, I'm like, go look it up. You'll remember it better. So that's, I think it has in that way. I'm interested to see as I kind of move into this more and more where it does go. I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to, there's a whole lot of grammar. And so my plan is with grammar, sorry about that, is to have them do the reading and to just come in and give them some stuff just to do hands-on. And I get to walk around and say, oh, wait, hold on. Let's go back and think about this rule again. Remember in the video, remember in the reading, we did that. So any of those kinds of skills things, if you need them to do things that it's not just memorize the information, if you need them to do stuff that is memorize the information, how can you do that in class, right? How can you put them in teams and groups and make them do hands-on stuff? Because we all know, I mean, this is great, but this won't happen for you unless you go home and just try it. This is how I know everything I know about computers. I took that basic computer class, the Computing 110. Okay, my students learn a lot more than I did in mine. I learned about computers by just doing it, and that's kind of the key thing. Did that even come close to answering your question? Well, I did want to show you a couple of things, and what I'm going to do whenever one of the things you can do, when you put your description up here when you upload your video, and you're going to have the title, and below it's a description box, you can also put in links. So I'm going to put these links in when I upload what we've done today. I'm going to put these links in there. In fact, I've already got a list of links. That's one of those are there. But there were 2 articles that I read that I thought were really helpful in terms of my kind of getting my mind around doing this more and making this happen. Because I've always been intrigued by the flipped classroom. It just makes sense to do hands-on when the teacher's there. But I haven't always been as successful. And, one of the things, like it says, start with the tough stuff. What is one of the things, maybe you just do it with 1 or 2 things, or try the video thing where they're getting, instead of just reading it, they get to see you doing this. What's one of the things they have the most problems with? What is the thing that you're like, I don't want to just tell you in words, but I want to show you how this works, and you can rewind or this or that and look at it again. So I liked that. I thought that was really good. And a number of these really pushed the idea that you don't have to flip your whole classroom. Oh my God, I've been talking nonstop for like 30, 40 minutes. I am, man, a gift of gab. Too much. Like, it's always the thing I list. What's your bad student? I talk too much, right? I don't know if you're going to be able to pull lecture out of my cult. I'll probably go to the grave lecturing. I will be retired, however. I'm not dying in the classroom. I'm working for retirement. Thank you very much. I'll be lecturing my dogs, It says, make sure your students have sufficient broadband access. Now, the story I tell them is I was a single parent through my associates, through my bachelor's, through graduate school. I did not have a computer at home during my associates. I did not have family who could watch my kid for 300 miles. I tell them, I know what this is to be here and do this. And that's why we have computer labs. You do have computers, right? You do have, if you don't have internet access, if it's too slow at home, this is the cost of your education. It is not just money. It is not just time in class. It's having to find a way to make those things happen. And I always say, if we can find support for them, if there are things we know, then yes. Like, I make sure in my syllabus, it has the thing on the computer labs that you're going to need to access computer stuff. We have labs that our labs have a limited number of laptops for checkout. I have a link to the labs and the lab hours. So I'm always making sure. I can't guarantee they all have that. And I think sometimes we get in our bubble and we forget there is still a digital divide. Our students do not all have smartphones. They may have smartphones. They may not have those minutes. They may have a computer at home, but they may not have internet. Or they might have really sluggish, slow internet. And so one of the things is, yeah, I use technology, and I tell them, y'all need to learn it. You're here to move into the professional world. It's going to be an expectation. But let me tell you where you can get it, right? And that's the key thing, to connect them. For me, with this, it's about saying, look, you have the resources. And yeah, it's tough. If it wasn't tough, everybody'd have the college degree, right? Then we'd all be going for PhDs, man. Who's got their PhD in here? Got some PhDs? Man, I remember sitting in graduation watching those PhD people getting their PhDs. Everybody got real hushed, and I was like, yeah, I get that. Dude, none of us were that crazy. Teach video viewing skills. Oh, length matters. It's, it says anything longer than 10 minutes and your students will stop watching. Another good rule is 1 or 2 good videos are better than 3 or 4 mediocre ones. That's something I'm really working on, is cutting things down. I do find a lot of times if it's something I've done over and over again, I will be much more efficient on a video than in class. When I'm just sitting down and saying, here, boom, 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 this is how you do it. So, in fact, that cover letter, when I did do, I think I mentioned that I did that twice, because the first one was 20 minutes. And I was like, all they need to know is single space, no paragraph. There's like 5 things you need to know. And I'm like, Kelly, 20 minutes, really? So I was like, back it off. Make students accountable, and that's why I make sure, and I have these things on quizzes. Easy stuff outside of class. Don't show the video outside of class and then inside of class. And that's really key. And I tell them, just like I tell them, why don't we always talk about what they read in class? It's foundational. We expect they know that so we can move on with other stuff, right? And I tell them, this is the same thing. You've got to ask those questions about anything you didn't understand so we can go over that. But then we move on to new stuff. So that repeating of things, and I will tell them, kind of one of the nice things is I will tell them is go back and watch that format video. Go back and re-watch that. And actually I found they kind of are more likely to re-watch the YouTube video than reread the reading. You know what? Me too. We shouldn't always slam them. There are sometimes I'm like, let me just watch the video. Okay. And that's the don't lecture class. And pay attention to language. Isn't just if you're a potty mouth like me. This academic freedom. So you can be wherever you want, right? But also thinking about, there are times, how we teach vocabulary is very important. I know I've had a number of times when I was corrected in ways that were very demeaning. And it was like, I'm a student. Yeah, I need to learn this vocabulary, but you didn't have to make me feel like a fool. Anybody had that? Yeah, at that moment. And so I really try to, do that, not necessarily be condescending or pander, but say, okay, here's, this is an independent clause. You may read that somewhere. It just really means it's a sentence. All right, so I'm translating for them. If you teach math, anybody here do math? Because you got to teach language with math. What does this mean? What is an integer? Isn't there a real word for that? And then start creating your own content. That's just that. And I love this. Don't flip out. Don't be overwhelmed. Keep it small. And then there were, because a lot of these talk about blended learning. So using flipped, using hybrid learning all of those kinds of things. This one I thought was really great. A comprehensive learning management system. We could talk all day about Blackboard. We won't. Well-defined course outline, really knowing what you're doing. And I think for me, it's becoming more and more about, one, let go of having to say everything, of having to always be the boss or having to always be the one right here. Kelly, you can put up a 5 or 10 minute video and let them watch it there, right? Or one of the things I linked to this morning was one on sentence basics that's someone else's video. And so that's on their reading list. Go watch this video that someone else created on YouTube. And this is another option. If you want to start this and start this fast, I don't know about your fields, but in English, we seem to love to put stuff up on YouTube. Oh, you need to know how to use a comma to connect, 2 sentences? We can pull you. Well, I can pull up like 100 videos right now, and we love that. And it's not even mine. Okay, I haven't gotten there yet. So I really think kind of outlining and thinking about, what is it that can help that they can see versus what is it that they really need to read. They need to feel the text and the words and those kinds of things. And what is it that I can do best in class? Is it lecture? Is it talk? Is it have them do this hands-on stuff? What is really going to benefit them? And of course, that's always going back to as a student, not what we liked or not what we were impressed by, but what did we walk away learning and knowing. And so that feeds into the learning objectives. I liked this for consistent aesthetics. I mean, that's why I do the kelli.ninja thing. I mean, I carry it through. I want them, they remember that becomes like everything that works for them. And I got my own domain because I didn't like the colleges. You can get a website through the college. Yeah. I'll stop there. This is going to be on YouTube, okay? We love the college. I got to love the college because when you drive in here, one of the roads that's coming into these the parking lots on the west side is Batcave Drive. I mean, really, if you can't be yourself, be Batman. All right. And then, of course, training. And some of that training comes from what we do for each other. Some of it comes from watching a YouTube video about creating a YouTube video. Some of it comes from just, like I said over and over again, the best thing you can do for yourself, practice, try it. You're not going to break it. If you put it up on YouTube and you don't share the link with anybody so that you can just look and see how it works, I'll tell you how many people are going to watch your YouTube video. You. Okay, most of my class lectures that I post up there, they get, maybe one hit. Most of them get 0. I'll show you the one I am most proud of and at once not ashamed of because, it does what I did it later better. But this one right down here, okay, check this video out. It's through, okay. Here's the revision, 1 minute and 7 seconds. That's all this video needs to be. But the first one I put up, how to format a hanging indent. So this is something that doing citations, you have all done citations. You needed to do this at some point where it's even with the margin and every other line in the citation at the end is scooched over. That's it. Okay, this is done on Electa. Old computer, not as good. All right. It does have some kind of things going on there, but it's really, even the volume, I was on like really. First of all. Oh, that's not as bad. It sounds better here. But it begins on a new page. Sorry, I just can't do it in public, okay? So, it goes through and it shows you how to set up your works cited, how to do your hanging indent, all of that kind of stuff. And this, what's really funny, is that this, let me go to the page it's on instead of looking at it through my channel, is check this out. Okay, so bad video. I put it up for my students. At the end of the semester, I had like 63 views because I kept telling them, look, you got to get this right. It's easy. It's click, 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 click. Boom. That's it, right? 233,341 views. That's my YouTube fame. And it's a horrible video. So, but that is one that that's actually the first one I did, and I posted it in 2012. That's the first video I put on YouTube. And I realized when a year later I was showing my students, oh, here it is, and I had put the link on Blackboard or something like that so they could go find it easily. I realized if this crappy-ass video, quite frankly, okay, and actually now I look back at it and I'm like, well, you did do a pretty good job, but I tend to be harder. But at that moment I was thinking, if this crappy video can get, and at that point it was 100, it was, well, by like a year later, it was about 70, 80,000. I'm like, 70, 80,000? And I hadn't turned on comments for this. So once in a while you'll get things like somebody said, oh, was this recorded with a calculator? Kind of stuff like that. But so many people said, your first instructional video has just saved my grades. Was this recorded? Yeah, saved my life thing. So, it's kind of cool because, here are students who are just trying to get this stuff right. And I was able to do that. So I know, and that's what I tell my students. I'm like, look, if you're not watching my videos, I know you think you don't need to listen to me another moment in your life. But somebody out there it's working for, and if it gives you a better grade, when you walk into history or you walk into math or you walk into any other class and you turn in a paper, then really, how much of your life was it? Right? So there's some people here who are saying it works. So, that was really the beginning of my journey. iPhone S12, yeah. So that's why I turned off. That's why I turned off comments, because people can be assholes. Yeah. And if if my students have comments for me, then they're going to see me, right? And they can email me and everything. So I'm not always. Today I'm fine with that, but I'm not always real tough skinned. So, yeah, I could go in and turn the comments on this, but what the heck, Yeah. So, all right. What questions do you want to ask? Some of those are your students. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I was just floored because it did go from like 63 or 73 at the end of that semester, which I figured, 5 classes and, 25 to 30 students. I figured, a couple of them may have watched it a time or two, but a significant number of them watched it at least once. And then when I came back the next semester and I pulled it up and it was in the like 90,000, I was like, wow. So, but I think that one I did I did do some other editing software. I may have used like Movie Maker or something. And then I just decided that's too heavy. Don't need that. Use something light, easy, play it, stop it, throw it up there. What else? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And no, I haven't. Mm-mm. I haven't. But I mean, I think that's the thing is if you want them to do that, though, you need to do it yourself. Because, I mean, that's what we know, right? Why are we teachers in the field we're teachers in? Because we've been forced to do this stuff ourselves, right? And we've done it over and over. There's a reason I can tell you all about those commas. Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah, so, but I really think, and the nice thing is what I'm showing you is really all free software. Right, and that's what I like is the fact that if I do want students to do it, or if they ask, and a lot of students who are actually already know a lot about this know more than I do, right? But if you have somebody who's introductory and that kind of thing, this is the kind of thing you can do sitting at a computer. Now, this is not, doing a video, right? That requires video camera, that kind of stuff. But if you want to create something that's knowledge making, it would be a great way, I think, to do presentations to kind of change it around from the old PowerPoint. I mean, you could use PowerPoint as kind of the slides, but do the audio over. And you can use PowerPoint for that too, and you can upload them. I like the flexibility of this. I've just gotten used to it because it's what I do for class too. Yeah. No, because one, the college won't install anything that they don't believe is okay, and they don't believe anything's okay in terms of software. And so that's why I got rid of my office computer, and I cart my laptop around because, yeah, so that I will say, anybody out there on YouTube, you can't ask us to build a house and just give us a hammer, right? And so that's, so I use mine just because the college is so hard about that. So, I mean, that's one of the things. If you're going to record in class, you're probably going to want to bring in your own laptop. Yeah. Yeah, and I take mine in every day, but I like to come in with all my tabs open. If I'm using the computer in class, I don't have to sit there. And you saw a couple of times, and I don't doubt if you've used computers, you've been in that same place where you're like, oh, wait, let me find this, right? I mean, you can't anticipate everything, but I really like to come in with the tabs open, everything ready to go, so I can just go through, and it's more seamless. It's real live, so live performances are that way. But the thing is I do most of my recording at home. Once in a while I'll do one in the office. I do most of mine at home, so I'm always doing it on my computer. I'm just much more comfortable there. Once in a while you get to hear the dogs bark in the background. And yeah, this morning I think one of them, the dog sounded like a cat hacking up a hairball. It's like, whatever. That's my dog cat. So. This one? This one is Bluetooth, so it's got the other end in the microphone thing, and then it does the Bluetooth, so you can walk around and, you know, look cool or dorky or whatever, right? And so this one does that. The other one that I use, and yeah, so this one's going straight into the computer, and this one's just a straight into the computer. Now, the one I did with that hanging indent, the old hanging indent video, was just the laptop microphone. I mean, I didn't have anything plugged in at all because I recorded it on an old laptop, and it was just one of those moments where I've got to record this, and I've got to just put it out there, and that way I don't have to say it another 1,000 times. So, I mean, I actually didn't even use anything that fancy. And this one with the Bluetooth is 35 bucks. This one, I think, was probably 15. You know, I read the reviews on them, see if they have good sound. So, I mean, it really all depends. Like I said, I think one of the things to let go of is, yeah, it's not professional. It's YouTube. Exactly. It's YouTube. I'm just trying to give you an efficient way to look at this information in a different way than just reading words. And especially anything where, like with this one, this is click here, click there. And yeah, I have these instructions written down 2 or 3 places that they read. But this is what they learn from and do it correct from more than anything. And I know that's true too in computing. I'd rather see, okay, here's where I need to click, here's where I need to do that. That is helpful, really is. Anybody else? It was a little rambly. I apologize for that. Thank you for letting me warm up and get ready for Tuesday. I feel like Tuesday's class is going to be solid and it's going to go. I will upload this, and on the handout you can see at the bottom is my kelli.ninja is my website if you want to look at Englishy stuff there. But you can just do a Google search for Kelli .ninja. Here, I get confused. So what I have to do with my students is show them, let's see what it is, youtube.com, let's see, kelli.ninja. No, not Kelly Maple. I just can't remember if it's the word dot or it's got to be just the actual dot. Yeah, Oh, did it show it? Oh, there we go. I mean, it'll bring those up. Or else also, if you're actually in YouTube and you just search kelli.ninja. I wonder who this Kelly Maple is. Man, it'll bring you right there and you'll see the little ninja, and that'll take you to my page. And one of the playlists I have is created playlist. Click on all of them. I see the goats. I've already got playlists ready for this semester, so they're empty because haven't taught anything yet. But one of the playlists is workshops, EPCC workshops, and there's the one from last semester, and I'll upload this one there too. So if you want to go through that, and with this one you can see the one from last semester. I also put in links, and I'll do the same thing with this one. So these are links to some things on flipped classrooms, OBS, Electa. There's a video editor if you want to use it. I've gotten to where I just use YouTube's last semester. I was not real fond of it after I used it a couple of times. Learning curve, right? That's it. Shall I shut up? Yes is an acceptable answer because I really want to go get a cup of coffee. All right, thank y'all.